He's just snooping around, who knows?
That's a very interesting point. So you've got these administrators, basically, that got found out because of what you did. Wouldn't you, I mean, is that what we can assume?
No, it's good to clarify that it's the administrator account. A lot of the time on a corporate network or a large organisation like the Army or the NASA isn't actually used. There isn't an administrator.
Oh.
But it's a built-in account, so you can't delete it. You can rename it. But that's for, say, if someone wanted to do something system-wide across the whole network, they would use that account to log in remotely, because that gives you full control over the machine. But it doesn't actually refer to a particular person.
Oh, so no particular worker involved in that maintains the site or anything?
That's correct, yeah. Although obviously they must have IT staff that look after things.
Right, and didn't you encounter one such person, or was he an IT guy that on the other end?
Yeah, he was a network engineer. Because I had graphical remote control of the machines, it was literally like sitting on the chair opposite the screen, opposite the monitor. I think I must have got the time zone wrong when he was working late hours or whatever, but he obviously saw the mouse moving across the screen. And next thing I know, WordPad flashes up, and someone types, "Who are you?" And I panicked, didn't want to get caught. Thought very quickly on my feet and turned around my own investigations into an explanation to answer him. And I said, "I'm from NIPNet Security, which is the non-classified internet protocol and router network. And I've discovered some unauthorized scanning coming from this machine. And I'm here to investigate it." And he immediately, as a good employee of mine, human nature, tried to impress me with his knowledge and showed me this, did a virus scan, and pretty much showed me that the machine was clean.
Wow.
And then moved along.
And he was never the wiser, or because I know that this was linked
Maybe
somehow to, well, right, but I mean, my understanding was it was linked somehow to you actually getting caught, what, a month later, or I don't know how much longer?
I can't actually remember when that incident took place. I was doing this every night, all night, practically for 2 years. Not really looking after myself very much. So dates and things are a bit mangled.
So this was a real passion of yours, in other words?
Oh, yeah.
And would you say, was the passion for information related to UFO and hidden technology? Was that kind of your passion, or what would you say is your passion in that regard?
I passionately believe that we should all have this technology, and not so much, obviously, if you could confirm the existence of extraterrestrials and their contact with us, then that would be good. But to me, it was more important to have this free energy system. Okay.
So what did you find out?
About free energy and gravity, unfortunately, not at all. But the UFO thing, as far as I'm concerned, it may sound circumstantial to some, but as far as I'm concerned, it's proven. As part of the disclosure project, there was Donna Hare, a NASA photographic scientist, who had up to secret clearance, was in Building 8 of Johnson Space Center, she says in her testimony, and that one of her colleagues was doing some photographic work, invited her over to look at it, and she saw high-res satellite imagery, maybe 0.5 above the treetops. I think it was like a white disc, and she at first thought, it's a blob in the emulsion, some kind of fault with the photographic process. And he said, well, look, blobs in the emulsion don't have perfectly formed shadows going in the same direction as the trees, etc., etc. All the detail was there. And she basically was saying that they had this whole place in Building 8 for airbrushing out UFOs on a regular basis, because they then, sell on their imagery to universities and the like. And having been all over other NASA installations already, I assumed the blank password scanning method would work the same in Johnson Space Center, and it did. Once I was in there, I used various network commands to strip out the machines that were in Building 8, and got onto those. And the very first one I was on literally had what she said. I can't remember if it was filtered and raw, processed and unprocessed, but it was definitely folders whereby there was a transformation in the data taking place between one and the other. These folders were full of images in a proprietary NASA format, or in a format I'd never seen before, no JPEGs or GIFs. They're also 200 to 300 megabytes in size, and being on a 56k dial-up modem, there's no way I was going to download it. It's like 5 minutes per megabyte. So what I did, the remote control program that gives you graphical control of the machine, turned the resolution right down, turned it down to I think 4-bit color, and then on the desktop of the NAS machine, navigated to the folder, double-clicked on the first image. The application launches, the image comes up on the screen, but it's still very, very slow. And what I saw, I was hoping to see exactly what she was describing, saucers and very definite imagery. And what instead I saw was, I assume it was the Earth. It was in sort of shades of grey, but you had the Earth's hemisphere, filling about 2/3 of the screen, and then halfway between the top of the hemisphere and the bottom of the picture, there was a classic sort of cigar-shaped object, but with the sort of golf ball domes, geodesic domes, above, below, and this side, and I assume the other side as well, so to the left and the right as well, and with very slightly flattened cigar ends. No seams, no rivets, no sort of telemetry or antennae or anything like that, and it just had a feeling of not being man-made. There was none of the sort of signs of manufacturing.
So in essence, it was a craft, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And
when I first saw the top half of it, I thought, it's a boring satellite picture or something. But as more of the thing was revealed, it was obvious it wasn't like any satellite I'd ever seen.
Wow.
And I've been space mad since I was about 14, so I've seen lots of pictures of satellites.
Okay, so you knew what you were looking at to some degree. So basically, did you feel, I guess during those 2 years that you were doing this investigation, threatened by what you were doing? Were you, in other words, technically you got caught out by one guy, right? Was that the only time?
No, that guy, that network engineer sort of saw me but didn't realise that I shouldn't have been there. The chap that actually caught me was in NASA when this photograph was about 3/4 of the way down on the screen. And you see the mouse move, he right-clicks the local area network connection icon, chooses disconnect, bash, that's me. And that's why it was such a strange moment. It was triumphant in a way. I thought I've completely corroborated what Donna Hare has said, on my own. But then got caught at the very same moment.
Well, when you say you got caught, how did he catch you? I understand he closed down the network so you couldn't continue to visit. But does that mean he actually knew who you were at that point? Or did it take them a lot more investigation to find out actually where you came from?
It took them a while longer. I think a good while longer, although I'm not sure how much longer, because again, I can't remember if that was fairly near the end of my investigations. I think that may have been late 2001, and I was arrested in March 2002. But what happened, I'm told, is that NASA and the various military